One at a time while the brackets come out. I'm not seeing them. Oh, they just were posted on the Twitter. On the Twitter. Alright. It is the Banshee tournament number 7 finals. In the bottom right is the pink Zerg. The reigning queen. For like every single tournament except one where she didn't show up. It is Telia. In the top left is the blue Zerg. She is QB. One of the only people to really give Telia a run for her money. The first time they faced, I believe it was a 3-2 in Telia's favor. The second time they faced, it was a 3-0 or maybe reverse that, actually. I don't quite recall. But point is, she was the only one that get close at the 3-2. I guess Telia's also been 2 at a 2-1, but I think a best of 5 3-2 is a little more impressive for almost toppling someone who is yet to be toppled. So this is the 7th Banshee tournament. She missed 1. Now, if we assume that she wins here, that's 6 Banshee tournaments won. If not, at least 5 with the 2nd place finish. That's still pretty impressive. And I really want to, like, kind of highlight how impressive it is, because people are going to be like, well, she's just, like, the best player, right? She just is numerically the best player. And they're going to be like, well, you know, tournament-wise, yes. Tournament results-wise, yes. But actually, MMR-wise, I think there's been enough discussion, unless it's changed or I misread or whatever, I misremember, where her MMR is actually not the most impressive out of the contenders. I don't think she's hitting GM repeatedly, whereas some of our other Zerg players actually have been up to the at least like 52, 53 on Europe, which isn't GM, unfortunately, but it's still pretty impressive MMR-wise. I don't remember what QB is, but I think QB was one of them gals who had better MMR than Telia by, you know, maybe like 100 or something like that. But still, when you watch them play, this is the 3rd time they've been playing, right? Telia still looks to be the better player, either dominantly so or, you know, slightly so. But the point is, Telia just has really weird styles, particularly good at ZVZ, which is turning out to be, well, a very good matchup to be good at in this tournament, as well as just knows how to win games. So I just really want to emphasize that, because some people are just automatically assuming that she's always going to win, and that's still a good assumption. It's not one that's really quite true. I think there's QB, there's Kyla, there's one other that I can't think of right now who I think could definitely give her a run for her money. They just have yet to do so. So, you know, my hope is that with more and more tournaments, we actually get to eventually see someone topple her down. That's the running story anyways, as we get into number 7. So we do have a Baneling Nest on the way for QB, 3 hatcheries for both parties. Now, Telia should also be getting a Baneling Nest, but she sometimes likes to play literally pure Ling. Now, that can be something that you can do as you swap over into roaches, but it is a very difficult thing to actually accomplish. You kind of have to force your opponent to make a few mistakes, maybe send a few queens, they start missing injects, that type of thing. And then the timing to get to roaches is really close. And on top of that, Telia also just isn't, like, when I say pure Ling, I really mean she just likes doing nothing but Ling. So even though she has an evolution chamber on the way, it's probably going to be for +1 Carapace or melee, I don't know, but the point is, like, not a Roach Warren as well. So a little bit atypical in how she plays this matchup, and that will eventually, I'm pretty sure of this, will eventually bite her in the butt as people continue to figure out how to play against her style. Now, QB was already making Banelings. A couple of them do get sniped. 2 of them still looking pretty strong. They're being microed against currently as QB didn't have a lot of Ling backup. It's Fracture after all, and as soon as she saw how many Lings are on the way, she did try making them. But that's, you know, 5-second rush distance, if that was Speedlings. Looks like as they come forward here, the Banelings were good enough at zoning everything out so that the Lings will defend. The Queens both survive. Something very important as we continue on into Ling Baneling wars, or just Ling in Telia's case. This should be a very vulnerable spot for her right now, right? Like, her opponent just made a bunch of Lings, could be counterattacking, now thinking about it, but also realizing that the power of run-bys is what Telia has gotten to be known for, so being a little conservative here. This is typically a weak spot for the non-Baneling, non-Roach player, especially because they don't have +1 Carapace, which is the ultimate upgrade to have when you can take that extra Baneling hit. That's not even done. So if Telia ends up winning this, I mean, it's going to be based off of, I think, superior mechanics, you know, more stuff coming out here. QB, as you can see, not injecting is her biggest weakness, and now her queen does die. She has a second one here, but missing one from the natural, and that's really hurting her. She has to... 500 minerals worth of pure Ling situation is absolutely huge, and while overmaking Banelings can kind of bridge that gap for a little while, it's only a little while, and especially once that +1 carapace finishes, you get those 2 shots in, suddenly you don't have enough Banelings. Telia is working off a very low drone count. QB thinks that she's safe, and I think that's incorrect. She's not quite safe, even though she has the superior tech. We now have Telia adding on the Banelings. Maybe even she is realizing this might go poorly very quickly. I mean, it's a very odd time to see one if you weren't going to see one earlier on, but, you know, point is she's getting it. +1 carapace is almost done. They'll also help with the direct Ling wars, obviously. QB's trying to get on her way to roaches, but it's just, you know, it's not really... She's doing what you're supposed to do in a regular ZVZ, which is kind of play the Ling Baneling war until you think it's safe enough to go ahead and get to the roaches. Maybe for the +1 missile early and then add on a Roach Warren. Well, she's not getting the chance out on a Roach Warren. I think that might be just simply, like, dropping the ball, basically, like, not remembering to do so. Because she certainly has enough minerals to do it, but she's so busy trying to defend her queens, trying to defend her drone lines. She is capable of doing all of that as she once again sends Celia back at 20 more drones, or just about, than her opponent. QB should be in a very dominant position, but struggling to get enough gas for both Banelings as well as the roaches. Finally, we have the Roach Warren that probably could have been done, probably should have been done, with probably extra gases, well, maybe up to 3 gases, for instance. But having the struggles, the injects are not quite coming down, banking almost 1,000 minerals, and I don't mean to note this to be disparaging, but that is the key difference of why Celia is able to win with these styles, even though she waits so damn long to get to the Banelings. She does just simply have more injects and more Lings to work with, right? Like, even if we weren't talking about injects, she'll always have slightly more Lings, so she's not making any of them in the Banelings, which is usually not a trade-off you want to do, but I guess in Celia's case it works out. These Banelings are trying to chase some Lings that go into the main base, but in doing so, that might open up the floodgates of the third base once again. All the Banelings have moved to the main base. QB tries to make some more around her third, as well as send those drones back to mining. But Celia, don't forget that she also had her own Baneling nest created. It's done now. She could make some there, and that's instantly going to pop off a ton of drones. And speaking of drones... oh my god, all the Banelings pop off. That +1 carapace did help a little bit, but not quite enough, as some Lings still end up escaping, dodging around here and there. QB might have finally leveled off, but Celia is on to now +1 melee. She's still on 3 bases. She actually got back up to the same drone count as QB, so the game certainly still has the potential to go on. And as we finally have QB transferring over into roaches, she's now... I mean, even at the 8-minute mark, just with how this game has gone, she is still at that point where you have to have the roaches up against the mineral line, up against a wall, as just 3 or 4 of them will easily get surrounded. Even with their +1 missile, they're about to be going up against 1-1. Telia has also been confirming the lack of a lair, so she knows that roach speed won't be an issue. Not that on a map like this, I guess I don't really have to wait for roach speed, but also that any tricky Spire play won't be coming down either. But that's so far away from what could have actually happened anyways. QB never really had enough gas to do that. That's not even worth talking about. QB in this situation, I mean, she's just slowly dying out. She finally gets to a tech that you can feel a little more confident with if you had a decent number of roaches, but her gas count ended up really being the problem here, as well as her injects. So GG, Telia does take game number 1 in general Telia fashion. Anyone know what rank the Banshee's players generally are? That's a very general question. It's like, but of the people who make it to the top 4, it's usually Masters 3 to 1. Somewhere along those lines. You do not need to pay for a BlizzCon e-ticket, whatever they're called, to watch the global finals. The real struggle of Banshee Cups, everyone wants to play in pink and purple. Yeah, that's why, I mean, it's a hard question to answer, because you have people in the round of 8s who are, you know, silver. I mean, we literally have a woman who was, like, just recently in the last 2 months or something picked up StarCraft, so just throwing it out there. I'm making sure I get to the right next game. Thank you gotta love for that Twitch Prime sub. Gotta love 69. You gotta end it. And thank you, Kathaj, for the Twitch Prime sub. Damn, guys. It really pays off to be like one of the only streamers while everyone else is at BlizzCon. Thank you very much for enjoying the content enough to use your Twitch Prime or just your simple $5 on a tier 1 sub. Appreciate it. Oh, no, that's not what I meant to do. There we go. In the top right, now down 1 on Lost and Found. Loser's pick, so it is her map choice. It is the blue Zerg QB. In the bottom left, as the pink Zerg, she is Telia. Now, usually you can depend on Telia not going for an early pool. I think she, like any Zerg player, will, and she's a good tournament player, so it's always like, it should always be in the back of your mind, but as aggressive as Telia is with Lings, I don't really note her as a early pool user, and I think she's even discussed how she doesn't think her early pools are particularly amazing. 13-12s and whatnot. So that, I mean, that doesn't really mean a ton, especially because you do always have to be on guard in a best of 5, but maybe you don't bother going for a 16 hatch, right? You maybe go for something just the slightest bit more economical. Hell, maybe you take a chance and even go for a 3 hatch or 4 pool. But that's, no, I'm doing like the whole meme thing. Like, you probably don't want to do that, because certainly Tila can get ramped up on 2 bases. She can do those very, very low drone count Ling all-ins. Just specifically early pools, I don't really think is a problem in this. Now, Q could go for an early pool, and I think she did try once or twice in the last few times they faced off against each other, but yeah. It is Lost and Found as well, and I mean, there's been a ton of drone pools on this one. Not here, though, not here. I had to help her clean up her 13-12 this week. Yeah, there you go. I mean, what finesse is there to it? You make the pool, you make the gas, whatever, vice versa, and then you just go. I mean, how hard can it be? What tournament is this? It is the Banshee tournament, number 7. The bracket command does not work. That's not the correct bracket command. Sorry, guys. The reason we're not showing any bracket is because then that would be a spoiler. The bracket's already finalized. So just know that these are the people who made it to the finals. I can tell you that QB beat Deity, who is a regular contender and pretty good player, and then Celia beat Elflor. Reverse that. And I don't know that name, actually. Ragnar Arquette faced off against her, though, so maybe she can say more about it. QB getting her third base a little pecked at here, but they're her own Lings. She didn't make as many Lings, so she has to be very careful. Yeah, yeah, that actually went to be a disaster. It's so funny, though, because, like, do you really think it's gonna do a whole lot? Well, no, but it does keep your attention away from what could be, like, 20 more Lings on the way, right? Or maybe you don't realize they didn't get a third base or something like that. And, of course, Telia did. So a little bit of an awkward scuffle does kind of go in favor of QB. It's definitely more about the follow-up here. So a very safe timing on a Baneling nest so that she can actually start making Banelings right now. Ooh, but maybe a bit of a supply block there. Not that it affects if you make Banelings or not, but yeah, she probably should have made them as quickly as possible. Maybe a little bit late here. Now she's down 5 Lings. Weirdly enough, that was kind of a good wall between the Banelings, but Queens do come forward to help out. Temporarily, QB would have the defender's advantage, but that could have changed very quickly if that's what Telia wanted to do. But not really so much. Telia is going into droning behind us in her own Baneling nest, not quite playing so fast and loose as last game. Does get into the drone line. Starting to peck away here. Obviously, there's some focus fire, but 3 drones is really not so bad. It does eventually get cleaned up, and hopefully this entire time, QB has been watching the mini-map to make sure that she's not continuing to be all-in. One thing QB definitely could have done last game, by the way, besides, you know, the general things like inject and maybe get a second or a third gas faster, sorry, is that because she was banking so many minerals, she also probably could have gone for a lot more queens. It's kind of like a why not scenario. It's really hard to catch up on larva when you're making lings, so it's like put your minerals somewhere. And I'm just throwing it out here because I do see one particularly high energy transfuse queen that could help. But Telia, kind of going for a more normal ZVZ here, might just throw QB off. I mean, she went into the Ling attack, right? But then drone behind it. And then this is, funnily enough, like this is a game where she didn't have to go for a Baneling Nest. More of what I was talking about last game, about what some Zergs can pull off. But she wanted to apply some of the Baneling pressure as well. Still ahead on drones, however, and actually getting maybe the better end of this. And she's not gonna quite get that queen. Never mind. All right, this is... Oh, okay, she got that queen. Well, all right then. Was this really worth it? I don't know. Resources lost is in favor of QB, but I don't know. Telia's still ahead on drones is why I'm like, but even though she's down 6 army supply, QB is probably going to be a little too cautious to actually... Were there Banelings in here? I just completely missed them? Yes, there were. I saw those lings go in, actually, and I forgot to check back on them. So 8 drones went down, so Telia should have been even further ahead on drones. Never mind. That's why she was down and the resources lost. Okay. Alrighty then, I'm just bad. That's fine. But anyways. Yeah, QB, I don't know how much of a counterattack she would really insist on, considering Telia's propriety for going for run buys. And what is proven to be, like, usually better link control as well. So, for instance, yay, we see the Lings and Banelings just stay at home. So Telia, I mean, she really could have skipped the whole Baneling attack that seemed to have evened out, right? That was over here, didn't seem to do very much, and she probably could be even more ahead on drones. But we have a little bit of supply block for our champion. Lair's on the way, Roachworn's on the way for QB, Lair finally on the way for Telia, and she certainly is going more into the typical... Roach versus Roach. I mean, she has +1 missile on the way. So, while that could still be a trick, you know, you can still get the Evolution Chamber Roach one at the wall, and you can even actually finish +1 missile. You don't have to cancel or anything. You could still go for a Spire behind that. I'm not really feeling it for these, either one of these players. I don't know. I just, not much to explain it, but I just don't really feel it. Oh god, the Lings tried to be cool and they failed, but they ended up living, and that's the important thing. These Banelings, I guess all close to getting popped. Not quite. The time for Lings is soon to be over, and we'll see kind of a rare example of what Telia's Roach versus Roach can look like. Oh, spoke a little too soon. Unfortunately, it looks like only one Baneling got a good connection. Okay, 13 in total. But Telia had the better drone count anyways. They kind of blew past what could be maybe typical drone counts to do Roach attacks on, but Telia up to 60 is now very comfortable on her economy. QB wants to, I think, catch up here. As soon as she realizes that there's no Roach on the way, then I think that's when you actually go up to the same count, but maybe having trouble reading here and there, whatever. Roach speed on the way, +1 carapace, kind of fast for QB. That is an investment. And there we go. Telia actually does go for the Spire. So she's like, she let the +1 missile finish. She could even go into +2. But I think her gases were a little mistimed. Not to be like super hypercritical or anything. I just think they were a little mistimed for that. I want to say you go up to 5 anyway to go into Roaches. So it's like, oh, anyways. She won't have that many mutas to work with, especially if she does start +2. We'll see how that works out. But there'll be a surprise, and that's, you know, oftentimes the most important thing. They clear out the middle of the map from these overlords, and then Telia, if that's all she wants to use, 200, 200, 4, and then build 600 minerals, or 6 mutas, sorry, then that actually might be totally worth it, because she'll dominate the map vision-wise, and she's very good at that, proven by her Ling usage, which she bothers making more of, by the way. This is kind of a bit of a gamble, to make Lings this late in the game. But they can work out. It's so unexpected that they get those really good run buys. This Overseer is desperate to try and find any hint of a Spire, but gonna be a little difficult to tell, and it's in the main base, so it was, funnily enough, that's like generally where the Overseer goes, and yet QB did the opposite this game, and that might just kill her. If Telia, okay, so Telia has on 24 more Lings. You see, once you go past a certain point, I'm like, oh, are you gonna go back into Baneling Muta? But I don't You wouldn't get +2 missile if you're gonna do that. Well, Telia's really starting to lack on the macro. You know, those injects, I guess. I mean, they might even be the inject's fault. I haven't been paying super close attention. More just the odd way of her doing things, not exactly a perfect build order, right? But she is banking quite a few minerals, and QB, having gotten into the groove of things back to her normal ZVZ, is really looking to thrive here. The mutas were scouted as soon as she pushed in, so Spore Crawlers immediately go down, but she's got 1-1 and a hell of a lot more roaches. Telia, a lot of her army supply is in fact in lings, so very not helpful, not even upgraded lings. Telia, playing away from her usual playstyle, is probably going to get a kill here, as QB, with these upgraded roaches, with the sheer amount of them, should be able to push through and at least do devastating damage, if not just straight up cause a GG from Telia. Yeah, these mutas are trying their best, but it was definitely an odd... It's like the ideas all work out, you know, as far as if you're going to watch the professionals like Cyril or I almost said effort, a laser play, but the timings, the build order, it was definitely a little off. Maybe there was some just like, oh, hey, I'll mix things in, as opposed to actually being a plan started, you know, from the get-go. I don't know. I can't say. I don't want to talk for Telia, but yeah, QB played the better regular ZVZ. The lane banding wars were a little shaky, as they definitely can be, but as far as the transition into roaches, the right call of where to put her resources, I mean, they're all, well, you can factually say they're better because she's winning the game. Now, the game's not over, so, I mean, QB did not get as much damage as I thought she was going to do, but she is up by 9 drones. That is quickly, that's going away here, as Telia just put every single resource into the mutas, eventually clean things up, and 19 mutas can sometimes cause those weird comebacks, where they don't have enough hydras, they don't have enough spore crawlers, they never built more queens, and they do run out of options to try and get those mutas to go back home. That's usually where we see tunneling claws come in, so I'm really happy to see QB do that. QB also doesn't know about the 4th base of Telia, so that's definitely a good trick that, like, if Telia had gone directly into lane bailing muta, I know she's good at it. You know, now that we're here, now that we're at 4 bases, kind of, right? Melee upgrades on the way, Spire being the full-on throttle here. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is where Telia shines. It's just that the whole mid-game, the middle part of this game was kind of weird. So this game's not over. I certainly thought it was, but it's not. QB did take, you know, the severe loss in supply because all of her army was roaches, but she still kept a lot of the drones alive. The lack of 4th base, as long as she can get it again, is, I think, more important than the fact that she lost it in the first place, because typically against mutas, that's the hard part. If they come out too soon, if they kind of snowball a little bit too much, then getting the 4th base can be truly an impossible task. These tunneling claws should definitely help out, so I'm liking them. I still am by far more impressed with QB's kind of regular ZVZ than I guess Telia's, what almost was a regular ZVZ, I guess. Just kind of, it's like almost Drunken Master as I watch it, but now, like, you know, you come in here now and you're like, what's the problem? I see Mutiling Bling versus Roaches, and it's like, it was a little weirder than that. Anyways, Tunneling Claws, good option. It is going to just completely blindside Telia. No Spore Crawlers, no Overseers. Again, those Lings really aren't well upgraded, so they're not going to have too great of a time dealing with the regeneration on the Roaches. They just bypass the Spine Crawlers, which have been very, very helpful. And QB, wary of what potential follow-ups could be from a Muta player, is already on her way to a Lurker 10, so like everything is just above board on what you're supposed to do against Telia. How she's playing now, anyways. Now it does take on the main base, but maybe oh no. Oh gosh, oh my god, no. Whoa. I guess distraction. She ran some Lings to the 3rd base or 4th base or whatever, but then the Roaches, I guess, popped everywhere. Totally distracted her. She stayed way too long against that many Hydras, and QB has that supply lead, has better supply. Telia did go for Centrifugal Hook. She did finally get that +1 melee, but not that impressive on the upgrades, and QB is just getting to trying to get to the perfect army. All she needs to do now is just get maxed out. And with her 4th base up and hopefully secure, you know, that she's really cut into that muta count back down to 11, not impressive. That should be a secure base. Should be. Thank you, Similix, for that 11-month tier 1 resub. 11 months, 1 month for every $1 million in prize money Sierra will win before he retires. Wow, guy. Wow, that's a lot of money. He'll be like the richest person in Finland. The Mute is once again finding the main base. I guess the spore claws weren't remade in there, so this is some pretty damn decent damage. 50. Oh my god. Okay, well those roaches also did a lot of damage, right? So 52, 54. Oh, there they are. Oh wow, gosh. 56 drones killed versus 36. I mean, Telia is doing some damage with the Mutas, but now the main base is like, there's no more drones to kill over here. And, I mean, she could kill the tech. That's still important. She's gonna have to deal with this army somehow. It's not quite maxed out, but it is a very impressive army full of lurkers to deal with any potential baneling surprises. And hopefully QB is scouting a little bit ahead, because that is the one thing that would kill her, is that her lurkers aren't quite burrowed, and suddenly 30 banelings with typical hooks comes forward to kill her army. And those lurkers were awfully clumped up, but I don't see 30 banelings. I see 11 banelings. Not nearly as impressive as 13 lurkers. And just maybe enough Hydras to deal with this. We have 7 Hydras. Wait a minute, hold on here. The Mutas coming back for vengeance, may be able to clean up every single one of these lurkers after they clear up every single one of the roaches. The Overseers are made. They are slow Overseers, but they'll do the job here. Spineclaw's trying to help out, buy some more time. The third base goes untouched in this engagement, but oh my god, those Lings are going to get absolutely shredded. Those Lings barely helped. And the Mutas are so indecisive. They're kind of half going to the Hydras, half going to the lurkers. At some die, I guess more than necessary die. But still 15 Mutas against 9 Hydras, and they are on the way. The drone count is currently being decimated by the roaches. All the spine crawlers are going down. Telia, you know, with that emergency anti-tunneling claws defense, might have bought herself a little bit more time, but has she bought any more drones? Their lives? I'm not so sure. Really, what's keeping Telia in this game right now is this base. Oh my god, Jesus Diva. I'm so sorry, Telia. I'm no longer a fan. You're dead to me. But yeah, QB didn't know about this base. I guess maybe she figured it out. Maybe it was accidental here, but she finally finds it, and that is the only drone line still mining as the third went down. The natural mineral line is laughable, especially as the lurkers run in here. Same with the main base, and Telia is actually just going to go ahead and tap out. QB had 13 more Hydras on the way. That was totally called for. QB plays the better second game here. And, actually, you know, takes a stab at our reigning champ. Hey guys. Trying to catch up in chat. It's a best of 5, so we still have a bunch of games to go through. Yeah, this is from replays. This tournament was played Saturday afternoon. Thank you, Alfredian, for the Twitch Prime sub. And thank you, Gunner070, because zeros are uncool, I guess, for the Twitch Prime sub, as well as Sham2. What's up, Sham2? I'll see you soon. Thank you for the Twitch Prime sub. Dang, sub love tonight. Yeah, the last few days, anytime I've streamed, has been really good. So that's awesome. Is this tournament league specific or open for anyone? Well, considering I saw your trolling earlier on in the chat, I'm gonna go ahead and say that you know what it is. I got you baited, she's in California. No, I'm not. I was confused as to why there was, like, time zone discussion in the chat. I think the lurker transformation actually benefited Telia. The overproduction of lurkers did almost benefits Telia. Your mic is a bit tinny. That's an interesting word for it. It's possible I bumped the wire. I don't... I could just try and plug it back in. Hold on. I don't know if that made it sound any better. It's way better? Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know when that happened. I probably bumped something while I was unpacking. Unboxing. Okay, good to know. Thank you. Thank you, Funky Town SC2 as well for that Twitch Prime sub. Hells yeah. Guys, we're really doing it. We're becoming a family. Ah. Alright, it's game number 3. It's best of 5 in the top left. There's the pink Zerg. She is Telia. In the bottom right, as the blue Zerg, she is QB. And, of course, people remember Caitlyn. She was a very good Zerg player. I don't remember her ever being banned from a tournament. I do recall her not being invited to one, but I don't believe everyone has all the sources as to why she was not invited, and that's, I guess, all I'll say about it. I guess I'll actually add one more thing in that I don't actually know the full details. I'm not saying that there was drama and you guys are stupid. I'm saying I think there was drama and I don't know what the drama was, so yeah, I don't think it was because she was too good. There we go. Anywho, I don't even remember what tournament it was, so I don't even know. We do have Parasite as this is Telia's map choice, so I, talked about it being loser's pick. Default first map, which was Fracture, which caused a very explosive match. Then Lost and Found, which is totally a typical choice, and then we're on a Parasite, the longest map, I think, even including Lost and Found in the map pool. So I'm not sure what Telia is thinking about this one. There are certainly a lot of pathways on this map that she could try and run by. I do think she is thinking of just going back to her normal style. I mean, again, like the theory crafting, right? What Telia was doing, and you compare the ideas of it to a pro in a best of 5, Raynor versus a laser or something like that. And it'll be like, okay, yeah, okay, like, right, she did the Lings, then she kind of, the Baneling nest was, I don't know, maybe on this area as well, but she went to Lings, then into Roaches, then she went into +2 Roaches, and then she went into Spire. But the thing is, I don't think they would have actually gone for +2. And she didn't really go for Roaches, right? We see in those pro games, as we watch 6 Lings now come out here, that you play the Ling game, maybe you play the Ling Baneling game, you get into Roaches, you do get the +1, maybe you do, maybe you don't, probably you do. Then you afford 7 Mutas and Aspire, and then you go back into pure Roach production, and you also add on that +2 missile. What Telia did was like almost like she, at the time she started +2 missile, thought, oh, actually I'll go into Muta play with Ling Baneling, which it just looked very late. So that's why I was thinking, like, maybe she kind of like threw it in there, like mentally she was like, oh, I'll try it. So it didn't look awfully pretty when she first defended. She was banking a ton of minerals, and despite having +2 missile, on the way or done or whatever it was, she didn't actually have a lot of Roaches to use it. So it looked a little weird. But then you go back into Telia's normal style, and while it's still unique, she certainly knows how to, I think, execute it a bit better. Macro-wise, pacing-wise, pacing probably the most... Actually, I should say it this way. ZVZ probably has the most emphasis on pacing than any other matchup, right? The momentum that you build up, the way that you play the game, the units that you play the game when you come to the larva efficiency is just... It's not really comparable, I think, to the other matchups, Mirror or not, but... Enough theory talk. We are going into the nitty-gritty of the Ling-Baneling wars potentially again here. Telia back to the first game build, so just right into the evolution chamber, not the Baneling nest, not the Roach Warren, but applying so much pressure that she hopes she's basically going to get away with it. That QB won't be able to clean this up fast enough, won't be able to initiate a counterattack fast enough, and it looks like that'll be exactly what's going to happen again here, as the third base is canceled at like 75% done. A pretty Disgusting cancel really for QB, and maybe even again here. Not canceled, killed. This is exactly what Telia wants, and while QB now has the opportunity to use her own Lings and Banelings to try and counter, she would also have to worry about any run buys in the future because she hasn't actually cleaned up any of the Lings. And the Lings again find a wraparound, this time on a Queen. She desperately does that one transfuse to at least keep her sister alive, but she ends up paying the price with her life, and that is going to contribute to more larva inefficiency as QB needed that third base, not just for the economic game, but also for the larva game, for this Ling Baneling, what she would potentially play against Telia. Now she probably feels that she can't without that third hatchery popping along like Telia's is, although she's also missing her injects. Oopsie daisy. You didn't see that. Stream keeps going for Banes to kill the Hydras, and we really forgot Lurkers existed. But that's not really... I mean, I don't know if you're talking to someone else. I'm just catching glimpses of chat here. That wasn't really the weird thing. I actually don't think that her going for mass Banelings is that much... I mean, she could have gone for mass Banelings, but she didn't even have enough minerals and gas to go for mass Banelings. And she got on for Lurkers, then she wouldn't have had enough Lurkers. Like, that wasn't the thing I thought was weird. Scarlet on board for co-casting so she can flame all the mistakes. Maybe I'll ask her if she wants to at BlizzCon. But I doubt it. This is already not feeling so hot for QB, but, you know, Ling Banelings can certainly change things up. She does get a bit of a run by into the main base, but only with Lings. Telia is right on her butt. Not going to do too much here. QB still unsuccessful in getting the third base down. Finally sends a drone out. She tries to also transition into roaches and +1 missile. But is that too late? Telia on her way to a lair. I guess QB, more importantly than getting Lings in to try and kill some drones. And I guess she got a few. Was I think most importantly seeing that there was no lair already, because certainly what could be behind all of this aggression was, I mean, it could have been roaches. There's roaches here. Or it could have been a Spire, 75% done, and she's in a world of trouble. I actually would have liked the Spire, but whatever. Roaches it is. And Telia, you go for the +1 Carapace here. Not quite yet into the +1 melee or missile, so she could just totally go into roaches. In fact, there's a pretty nasty follow-up if you add on that +1 missile with the roach speed. That you can hit kind of a very dedicated attack, let's say. Telia needs to drone up a little bit. QB, despite not having a third base, you know, with the drone counts being what they are, sometimes doesn't look so bad on the income. And in fact, QB might have been a little ahead on the income, but it was always that worry of further damage being done because of, you know, no injects. And if she lost this again, right, that would just be too much. But looks like she'll be able to defend it. She's got a lot of Queen energy now again too. While Banelings do just run forward carelessly, almost. Like a last-minute split there as you saw the Banelings. I don't think they can do very much. Last-second snipe on that last Baneling, and even though there's +1 Carapace, there's 4 Banelings. Those will kill all of Telia's Lings. So on to the next thing. +1 missile is on the way for Telia. Also for QB. Telia is always going to have that upgrade advantage, unless QB goes for the fastest +1 Carapace, well, second evolution chamber, I should say, in this matchup, which I don't think she can afford. More Lings just perusing around looking for open opportunities. QB still has those Banelings though, right? So this shouldn't do a whole lot. But it might even be worth for Telia to just let her think that she's killed little Lings. I mean, this is going a little bit too deep, I think, but it would actually be kind of a cool idea for Telia to just pop all of these Lings on the Banelings and let QB think we're on to Roach versus Roach. And then, you know, not have any Banelings to defend, but she actually shows the Lings here. She also gets more drones, so while I thought Telia was setting up for that big attack I was talking about with the 1-1, I might be wrong, or it might be she's trying to get to an appropriate number of drones for it. Little mistimed. I don't remember what the drone count is. I wrote it down somewhere, but Zerg, what even are they? It's not like I'm casting super important like BlizzCon where I actually have to know this stuff. That is a lot of Lings now cruising around. And QB, I'm very glad she's making more Banelings, because that's like the one thing I think a lot of Zerg players in this matchup find themselves too dependent on is just like, well, I have enough roaches now, right? Like this is good enough. Where Banelings gonna make your life a lot easier. against so many Lings. That's just so many attacks that the Roaches have to actually choose. Am I saying that Lings are good in mid-game ZVZ? No, not always. In fact, rarely, but there's certainly something to consider, and Banelings are kind of the easiest way to deal with it. For the price of 25 gas, you get quite a lot, potentially. Telia, I just really thought she's gonna go for it. I think she should still go for it. QB, I mean, I think there is a bit of momentum. I mean, I brought up pacing earlier on in this cast. There's a bit of a momentum problem here, where I think that as far as recovering and matching her opponent in skill, like 1-to-1, I think she does it. But I think as far as the game has felt like it's gone for her, she probably felt like she was so far behind that she couldn't get a faster fourth base. Maybe there's some overconfidence against a lot of Lings, so it's like a lot of like conflicting things, because actually until this fight that she went reaching for and is just not actually gonna win, unfortunately, she was on her way to recovery. She had a stronger economy for a little while despite not having a third base, and she was on her way to +2 missile. Telia was not hitting the most perfect timing with her 1-1, yet QB just this, that, or the other decides to push in to an open army thinking that she can take it on, and she was absolutely wrong. Has to tap out. Telia takes game number 3. So that puts Telia up 2-1. QB really the closest person we have to tearing her down. Maybe she can bring it back. Next up is going to be on blue shift. Let's get into it. Oh, all right then. In the bottom left is the blue Zerg. She is QB. In the top right, as the pink Zerg, she is Telia. And she is, in fact, going for an early pool here. It's a 12 pool. Wasn't it? Yes. Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, okay. So this is something that I brought up. You know, she's not apt to do as much as some other Korean Zergs or European Zergs I can name, but she is capable of doing it, as any good Zerg, any good player should be. You should always learn your respective races, cheeses, not only to win tournaments, but also just to spice up your ladder play. But regardless, she is going to be executing this, and I don't believe QB has been doing anything cautious, maybe because she figures Telia won't do it, or that if she does it, she won't execute it so well. But unfortunately, that means that she's going to have one of the less ideal builds up against this. So you do go for the hatchery, where the queen doesn't quite start out at the same time, and then you do go for a rather high drone count on that pool. So it's about as late as you can really get it. And Telia, maybe she could have pulled the drones, is going to go ahead and just get a hatchery. So eventually, QB's Overlord will find that hatchery and be like, oh, okay, well, you know, 1 + 1 equals it's just regular Lings. But right now, as she sees the Lings, there's got to be that panic moment where it's like, well, shit. I mean, are the Banelings following this up or what? So usually it's first case, deal with the worst case, I guess. Should put that on like a bumper sticker or something. So we see like a spine crawler go down, a Baneling nest, you know, the like, unless they have, you know, some 100% knowledge that it's not actually a speed or Baneling follow-up. Now, the Overlord is going to see the hatchery, like, seriously in seconds here, and QB did not build a spine crawler. There she goes now, but she might not actually need it. Now the game is really about how much damage does Telia do with her Lings to the drone count. QB's going to want to actually micro these drones so that she doesn't lose the hatchery, but she also doesn't lose any drones. And also, on top of that, that she reduces the amount of lost mining time as much as possible. So a lot is riding on how she controls these drones. Telia, you know, doesn't want to get surrounded, basically, is her motive here. But that seems like a lot of drones killed to me. Unfortunately, Game Heart wasn't used. Well, 5 drones doesn't seem like a lot for some of these longer games we've played. It does put things back down to even, so Telia has a playable game from here. It looks like she was maybe banking a bit, so maybe this should have been a case of her even being ahead on drones, but now we have them on the way. She did go for that gas. QB pulled off of gas finally, but because of the timing of that type of push, you know, she wasn't going to be able to afford the speed and minerals, and also maybe got a little too many minerals on top of that, or sorry, gas instead of minerals. But usually if you see one gas, it is going to be speed. So while some people follow up an attack like this with just a Roach War and Evolution Chambers and 2 gas, Telia should also be going for her own speed, and it won't be that far behind QBs because of the lost mining time, because of the lost drones. QB should just wall off and make a Nidus. So people have actually tried, well, hold on, has anything happened in this game? Not really. Okay, Spinecrawler speed is on the way, gotcha. There is actually the admin of this tournament, Vriska, plays that style, and she does get surprisingly close to taking on Telia, despite their MRRs being quite drastically different. But Telia is still pretty adept at even taking that on, so... Yeah, that's probably a good build to try against Telia. I think she's actually had that happen to her, and she was able to barely overcome it. I mean, TLDR, there are some maybe better build counters than others to Telia, but she knows how to deal with them if she can get the proper scouting. So speaking of scouting, we had a Ling go into the natural base and see a Spinecrawler. Generally, if you see that, you think they play in defensive. I think there is like the sickest mind game, right? Like quote unquote, where Zerg players used to get a Spinecrawler and be like, yeah, I'm gonna not make any Lings and just hope this saves me. And then they actually make a ton of Lings and kill you. I don't know if it really happens anymore, but Telia does have a decent number of Lings, despite having a Spinecrawler. She goes for a third base. QB went for the wall off, even though she also went for speed. Yeah, she didn't cancel that, which is fine. But that is like one of those choices you can make, is that if you're just gonna go right into roaches, just hold up on 2 bases, you could theoretically just skip speed. If you don't, then maybe you could also theoretically build 50 billion Lings and just try and flood your opponent and fake the roach transition, but I don't think she's doing that. I think my chat is talking about the benefits of intoxicating yourself over medicating yourself, both being self-remedied, and I'm really proud of you guys. I want you to know that. I want you to know that I really love your financial thinking. And now we're talking about how much moonshine they sell. Oh, well, this is getting dangerous. I'm not affiliated with any of you. Well, this is not dangerous, I can tell you that much. It is a pretty sturdy wall. Telia, I mean, to that guy's point, whoever made it in chat, like, there are some things you can certainly notice about her, and that she generally, even if she does eventually make a Baneling Nest, doesn't really want to use it. Even given pretty wide open opportunities, she doesn't like to use it. So in this game, she didn't get a Baneling Nest. That means that this wall would never die, even to like a mass Ling flood. It's way too sturdy for that. And so Telia, this is like the silliest thing here, by the way. So like, there's a Nidus Worm, so like, good call, dude. What you do against this when you see it, regardless of the meta that's going on here between these 2 players, is that you generally do the same thing. You see them holding up here, you get your third base, you kind of fit in like maybe a few more drones, and maybe you have like a little bit later of a +1 missile, but you do the same thing and you just kind of catch up with certain advantages here and there. So that's what Telia is doing. The worst case scenario for a pink Zerg is that she thinks that QB is just playing defensive and over drones, but I don't see that happening. Telia might be getting a lair, but her +1's done. She stopped at 41 drones. She's getting nothing but roaches and Lings. I think she's feeling the Nidus Worm. Probably because she's been attempted to be hard countered in the past by this. Additionally, this might just be simply too late of a Nidus Worm to really be surprising to be worth it. I mean, QB went for a +1 Carapace with this, as well as starting +2 Missile. This is a very wonky, lopsided type of all-in, where it's 1/2 all-in, 1/2 macro game. Simply does not work out, and I'm not sure what... Maybe she saw that it was already prepared for, so she like was kind of throwing that Nidus Worm away, but it's not a good situation for QB. He was already down a game here. This is her last life to try and take out the reigning Banshee champion, and it's just not looking very good. Telia could go for a counter attack, and she'd have more army. She wouldn't have as good of upgrades, but she'd have more army, and so much so that she would probably win. But she could also just play the long game. She has a third base. She knows her opponent doesn't with the vision here. And the worst case scenario is that she does get attacked as she builds 10 drones, 15 drones right here, and she barely holds on, because I think she would hold on. So there's really not a bad scenario anywhere I see for Telia. Maybe now as she sees the third base being thrown down, she starts thinking about perhaps a Spire swap up, or okay, yeah, Tunneling Claws, which can be very good, but yeah, this isn't looking too hot. Queens are found, and then while they have a lot of transfuse to protect each other, they are up against too many Lings, I think. In fact, she doesn't even get the last transfuses off here. Lings to the north, Lings to the south. The ones to the south are deterred, but they live to try again. Telia on her way to +2 missile is going to be significantly down to those upgrades. That, if this was a, I don't know, like a 30 army supply disadvantage for QB, but she had 2-2 over 2, and she had some better, you know, micro, corrosive bios or what have you, I would totally believe in her comeback. But she's not down 30 army supply, she's down like 50. She's also, I mean, she still has the upgrade lead, but only by 1 in this scenario here. Just drastically outnumbered as Lings also flood into the natural, and GG, well played. QB taps out and gives Telia her 6th Banshee tournament win. I'm basically, I mean, not me. The community is basically funding Telia's education if she's still in college. If not, then we're funding her, I don't know, whatever she wants to do.